Welcome to your Friday dose of News Radar. If it's your first time on the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button if you do enjoy this episode. Thanks. I've talked on this channel a whole heck of a lot about Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 3 as it does approach its launch. And as you know now, obviously, we've seen it about a quadrillion times and know exactly what it looks like. However, one thing that we haven't known for sure has been the price. And there were rumors early on, maybe a month or so ago, that indicated that the price of the Z Fold 3 would be coming down considerably when compared to the Z Fold 2. In fact, we saw rumors that up to $400 cheaper on Z Fold 3 when compared to that Z Fold 2. And when you pair that with, rumors that Samsung is planning to sell a whole lot more Z Fold 3s than Z Fold 2s, the fact that this is a third gen device now, prices should be coming down, it all lined up and it all made some sense. However, it might be time to pump the brakes on that just a little bit, because we have a report here from Sam Mobile. Z Flip and Z Fold 3 prices leak once again, and this price leak is coming from Evan at EV Leaks, and this guy's pretty damn reputable. Who knows? Not me. I've said them both now. And according to EV Leaks, you're going to be looking at $1899 for the base model of the Z Fold 3, $1999 for the 512 storage model. We're talking 256 and 512. As for the Z Flip, though, $1099 and $1149. So those prices actually have come down pretty considerably and about in line with the earlier rumors. But unfortunately, the Z Fold 3, the one that we care the most about, the price has not really dropped as much as we were hoping and as much as early reports were indicating. Now, no word just yet on exactly what has caused this to happen. No word as if, maybe those early reports were just false, or perhaps something like the chip shortage, which we will talk a bit about here in a moment. Maybe that had something to do with it. Not sure, but at any rate, you're looking at about $100 off the Z Fold 3, and strangely enough, about $350 off of the Z Flip 3, which I think is going to sell very well at that price. So even with the price of the Z Fold 3 not dropping as much as we hoped it would, we have some more news from Sam Mobile here talking about Samsung's foldable phone business and how it could top 75% market share as soon as 2023. So they're citing a report from Counterpoint Research, which expects foldable device sales to be around $9 million this year. And when you factor in that 2021 has a 3x growth over 2021, and the expectation that 2022 would see a tenfold increase in folding phone sales, and the fact of the matter is, they're kind of the only game in town. I know you could buy a Mi Mix Fold. I know that's a thing, and I know Huawei's got theirs, but let's be honest. Samsung's going to dominate the folding phone market unless some other people get out front now. And the fact of the matter is that let's say Google puts out their Passport device, and maybe it's going to be great, but here's the reality. By then, Samsung's going to be on their fourth iteration of their folding devices. They're going to have a pretty large advantage, and not just the fact that their device is going to be more mature, it's going to be iterated on more, but more people are already going to have them in their hands, and that word of mouth is powerful. If you own a Z Fold 2, and by the time you're ready to upgrade to a Fold 4 or a Passport, maybe you're going to go with that Fold 4 because the Fold 2 is really good. And this article reflects that. The projections are that Samsung will have an 88% market share by the end of the year. So this is accounting for the fact that there will be more competition next year as the folding phone market absolutely opens up and explodes as folding phones become much more mainstream. Still being able to hold 75% of the market is going to be absolutely nutty. And when you jump back to this prior article, Z Flip at $1099, that's going to help. That's going to really help them compete in this market. Now, something to watch on the horizon, though, are reports that the foldable iPhone is on the way, although it is still a few years away. This is on Trusted Reviews. Referring to Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman, who's like the Apple guy, he is citing about 2 to 3 years away for a folding iPhone. Now, obviously, when that happens, that's going to disrupt the market in an absolutely massive way. But the question I have is, how much of a foothold will Samsung have by then? You know, that's going to be a real advantage for them. Not to mention the fact that when Apple does launch this, it's going to have Samsung screens in it. So it's not going to hurt Samsung's feelings all that much to sell tens of millions of panels to Apple for the phone to compete against their phone. And sticking with Samsung here, we have a little bit more news about this upcoming Unpacked event, which is about a week away. Early on, there were reports that the S21 FE would launch at that event, but it appears now that that is not going to be the case. And the reasons being cited by most people are the massive chip shortage going on. They just don't have the chips. They're having to decide, are we going to launch, what are we going to cut, the Flip, the Fold, or the FE? So they're going to push the FE back, let chips build back up again before they're going to launch that event. It will probably get its own standalone event in a few months after this Fold event, kind of like what they did with the S20 FE last year. It'll get its own event, and it'll work out better for them. So I know that I told you that it was coming, and I know that a lot of people on the internet told you it was coming at this Unpacked event, but sorry, it's not. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about like the hugest news of the last couple of days. So dig in. There's a lot more in this video. This is going to be a long episode, guys. We have the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. Guys, it's real. The renders we saw were real. And Google announced this via Twitter thread, strangely enough, which actually I kind of like because it lets me break it down in a nice way. So this is the official look here at the the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. My mind is melting currently. As you can see here, this is the Pro, this is the standard. And the biggest thing you're going to notice here is that the standard, the bezel here is a matte color, as well as there's a bezel around the camera bar. Don't call it a bump, it's a bar. And on the Pro, you have a glossy edge there and there, as well as you can vaguely make out a square periscope camera there. And of course, the Pro is a little bit larger as well. The standard lacks that telephoto camera, just a wide and an ultra wide. That's kind of your differences as far as that goes. As they say here, the Pixel 6 Pro will come in 3 color combos. The Pixel 6 has its own 3 colors as well. And you can kind of make that out a bit here. That's a standard, that's a standard, that's a standard, and then Pro, Pro, Pro. Those are your color combinations. And they look quite nice. I think that the blue and green is really interesting, but I'm impartial to the matte black. That looks quite good. The Panda look is kind of back too. With the black and white, looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Pixel 6 Pro has 3 cameras, telephoto with a 4x optical zoom. That's what you're going to get out of that periscope style camera. So that's going to be awesome. And with Google's software magic and some hardware magic, this could be really, really good. Maybe the biggest thing though in this is the fact that they have their own chip. We've talked about White Castle multiple times, where it is officially called Tensor, Google Tensor, Tensor. I'm going to go with Tensor. Not like I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling more tense, Tensor. And it's a pretty big deal. So basically this chip is going to be, you know, not a powerhouse in terms of raw power gaming, things like that, but it's going to focus heavily on AI and on machine learning. And you're going to hear a lot about this in their official, you know, unveiling here in a couple of weeks. They cite transformative experiences with the camera, speech recognition, and other Pixel 6 features. Keep in mind that the Pixel phones have had great cameras for many, many years, largely because of computational photography. And with Google Tensor, they have tailor-made this thing to be supremely good at exactly what we're talking about. There were also demonstrations given where apparently, you know, they're taking a picture of a quickly moving object. And just like with normal Google, you know, HDR Plus, what they do is they take a whole bunch of pictures, like dozens of pictures, and then they will meld them together, get all the best from all of them and get a picture. But in this instance, the face that these people were shown in this demo was out of focus. So what the Pixel 6 did is it also took a picture with the wide angle, which has a much faster shutter speed, to grab the face in focus, pulled that face that was in focus and put it in the final image so that you wind up with an in-focus picture with all the HDR Plus stuff there. And apparently this is only possible with Google Tensor. If this works as well as they're saying, I don't know, promises are often made and even less often kept, but the promise is pretty damn cool if you ask me. Of course, it will be launching with Material U Android 12, duh. Of course, that's going to be the case. Now, according to The Verge, as far as price goes, expect it to be relatively expensive. quotes here, it will certainly be a premium priced product, which I take to mean north of $1,000. And I think that that's probably right. This is Google's real first attempt at going after market share, going after the premium market, trying to beat Samsung, Apple, etc., instead of just making a Pixel phone to show them, show the world what they think an Android phone should be. And as this Verge article also says, Pixel 6 Pro has a 6.7-inch QHD Plus display, 120 Hz refresh rate. Pixel 6 has a 6.4-inch FHD Plus with a 90 Hz refresh rate. Both are going to run, of course, that Tensor SoC, in-display fingerprint sensor. And that's really about all we know from there. I'm sure I'm going to be talking about Pixel 6 much more as the days, weeks, and months go on. We might talk about it on the next episode of Podcast Revive because my wife Jessie was quite interested in this phone. But for now, Pixel 6, Pixel 6 Pro, it is a thing. And the last piece of news I have for you today is the long-rumored Pixel 5a is apparently launching later this month for $450. This is frontpagetech.com. And if you notice, get out of here. If you notice, this thing does look very much like a Pixel 5. So it's going to be a cut down Pixel 5 for a much cheaper price. Pretty normal specs here. I would like to have seen it keep wireless charging. Same camera as the Pixel 5 from last year. And it'll have a headphone jack. Sounds like a pretty decent mid-range phone. Probably another easy win for Google in particular as they're about to launch super expensive phones. Well, here's a cheap Google phone to probably keep making cheap Google phones as the A series have sold very, very well for them. So guys, that's all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday and Friday for the next news radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.